We, so, where it says education, that's what's broadcasting now. So you can tell they're on the screen, they can start anytime. Orange. We'll call to order the July 8th meeting of the Park and Recreation Commission. Any commissioner updates, Kate?
That's what I was just looking for. I got the name of our person on the school committee that's the liaison.
Yeah.
I have that in my email. That's what I was just looking for. I have it, I know it, but I don't remember the person's name off the top of my head. But I got it from that group. So I'll see if I can find it. That's all I have.
I had a question or slash concern from a Rotary Club member regarding the Appleman. Women Forestry Foundation is going to be doing their forestry harvest. And there was a letter sent out to neighbors and the like. They said they were going to start within a couple of weeks. I'm not sure if it's going to happen after the Appleman or not. Have you heard anything to that?
No.
No, they're actually going to close Friday Woods for a couple of weeks.
No, I haven't heard that at all.
That was a
Huh.
letter I got. Actually, I wish I should have brought it.
So does part of the Appleman run vertical?
Yeah, two brothers.
Two Brothers Trail.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
so
I can reach out to Neff tomorrow.
were they
and find
closing?
out.
what's that?
When are they closing?
They, the letter was a little vague. It said, and I got the letter maybe a week ago. It said in a couple of weeks.
Okay, because the Appleman is two Sundays.
weeks.
Yeah, yeah, so,
I have a walkthrough with the Rotary in the morning
Okay.
at
Okay.
11:30 at Long Lake, so I can ask if they know.
Do you want
Yeah.
me, well, it sounds like it came.
it was,
from
yeah,
Rotary.
from Cheryl Hollander.
Do you want me to reach out to Chris in the morning? And Neff
Well, if it's from Cheryl, I don't know what the question is.
is,
Well,
they
the
don't
question
know
was, they were
when
concerned about it being closed
during
before
the,
the Appleman.
Okay, so we just need to reach out, so
No.
I'll ask Cheryl if she reached out to them already.
Yeah, I don't think she did.
So it's not Chris, he's been gone for about 2 years.
He works for us,
There's
he works for
somebody
DCR now.
Yeah.
I actually called him, he's on vacation, but I was gonna
yeah,
check to see, because he's the one that regulates the forestry harvest.
I have that like,
okay, I have it written down. Interesting.
Yeah, the letter came out a week ago, I said, and it was a little vague in terms of.
We don't normally, I don't remember them ever closing. Maybe I just didn't happen upon it while they were closed, but they.
I mean, in the.
That was about, yeah, 20 years ago.
yeah, it's been a long
Just in
time.
9 years I've been here, it's never happened.
Oh,
as
no, I
far
mean,
as I'm aware.
thought they've done pretty regular periodic
Yeah, maybe
harvests,
it's
but
time
maybe,
flies.
maybe, okay.
Look into that.
That would,
I can reach out tomorrow. The lady who's in charge now reached out to me about a different matter.
Okay.
anything else?
That's it.
All right. I'm happy to report that we did complete Alicia's review
On time. Yeah.
before the end of the fiscal year.
Figured out the electronic signatures.
Figured out, like, right, we got it, yeah, got everything squared away, so, and then obviously we have it as a topic later, but there's been some back and forth with the select board, so we'll discuss that in more detail later. That's, if there's anything else. That's all I've got.
Okay.
Yes, we have minutes. Anybody? Look at the minutes. Any issues with the minutes?
Seems like a long time ago, but I got
Uh,
these minutes. I don't
I
remember.
did send them out earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the, they were, yeah.
Make a motion to approve, last month's minutes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's been accepted.
That's not supposed to be on there. What is going on here?
What's up? That's it.
Oh, yeah, because that even says Darren on there. And the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah, you
Last
got it,
year.
2023.
We have discussion on Kaizen's registration software. We had Nikhil come and do just a little bit of a presentation on it last, park commission meeting. And, I sent out the contract, that they had sent us, and it's just a draft, so any of that stuff is changeable. But essentially, I think, one of the things that you guys had asked about was like the cost of it. So it would be,
Zero.
it's not zero, it's not, I hope it would be nice. No, the thing is, like, it comes with a lot of this bells and whistle stuff, that's included in, the cost. So they do all the training for us. They give us all of the payment kiosks or any associated hardware. They actually will send somebody out here to do photographs of the area so that they can add that into the website and the mobile app that you could use. So they do a lot of different things to get this all started up. So the basic, I guess if we go to like the basic agreement, is that it would be 5% of our revenue for up to, I think it was like 1.1 million. And then after that, it would go up to, I think, 7% after that 1.1. So it is
Okay.
pretty expensive, but the package of what you're getting, I mean, just the ease of it being as modern and updated as possible. It's something that we definitely feel, just discussing with the staff, that that's something we can add that into what the costs would be for the programs, so that way it would be included in the price and we would be able to pay it that way.
Yeah, so essentially, it could cost us zero, or it could cost us a nominal fee, depending on how much we want to pass off into the program piece. Right now, we have a significant buffer in most of our things that we could tolerate, this percentage and not have to necessarily go up too much. So, in looking at that, if you think about it like a credit card fee, essentially that's what it would be. There would be a credit card processing fee attached to it if you use a credit card. Then there would also be a software fee of that 5 to 7%. And then that's up to us how much we want to pass off to the end user or how much we want to take on ourselves.
And what are we seeing for revenue typically? Or any-
Last year or year, the past year.
So we have, I'm trying to think, last thing on there. Huh? No, I'm still looking for it.
No.
I'm gonna have to go,
Yeah, just send me and just text you.
yes, it is.
You want me to route that?
I mean, that's not gonna help. Oh, yeah. Just give me a second and if I can log on.
Yeah, so I mean, based off of last year's numbers, it would be, if we were looking at taking this on at 7%, it'd be about $90,000. Whether we're passing that off, whether it's coming out of the revenue, or whether essentially that would be us eating a percentage of it, because that's really what we're coming out to.
Did you say 5% But up to
It's
1.1.
scalable, so it's
Yeah.
5% for the first, I believe, 2 years, and then it goes to 7%.
Okay.
And then we asked them to cap it at 9.
It would not exceed.
Not to exceed, yeah, it's in there somewhere, but we did ask them to have a not to exceed. Which, they typically don't do, so that was one of the concerns that, I had expressed with Alicia when we were getting into this, because. I mean, obviously, if we're going to make this jump and we're gonna, spend the time and the investment into it. It's a wonderful platform, but, we need to also just make sure we have the assurances in place, which. That was what we did by getting a 5-year agreement, was that, or 4-year agreement, that we're not going to. Invest all this time and effort and then. So it's, if you look on the second page. It's the top box.
And is the 1.1 million in payments to them?
No, so so last year we brought in about 1.1 in revenue, and that was where we decided to keep that cap at. So they said that if we could exceed that, then that's when we would go from the 5% up to the 7%.
What are our fees now for software packaging?
My rec is, I just paid the bill, it was probably around 14,500. So it is significantly less. However, it is a lot of extra work for the staff because it doesn't quite do what we need it to do. And we're always trying to find workarounds for it.
It's not just the staff. I mean, as we spoke last time, there are a lot of things on the end user side, which is the most important piece
Yes.
that this makes easier, to the point that Nikhil had spoken about was you can get in and out in 2 minutes for most of the registrations,
Yeah.
where, now if you're building your whole family household and everything else, it does take a little while. The other thing that, we run into is every transaction we run at the beach right now, we have to get your home address and everything else. If you use a credit card, manually type all that in, like buy an ice cream.
Yeah.
So there are ease of use on the customer side, which is definitely, the most important thing in cutting down that kind of stuff. We had spoken about sailing signups and, other signups that I don't know if we talked about, like when you sign board up for things, just the clunkiness of it sometimes. So that kind of is one of the pieces. The other piece is, the rentals and everything else, the scheduling, the booking of the fields. It's just a much easier thing where you can go on and do that by yourself right now. Just for like field rentals or pavilion rentals or things like that. You can get the sheet, but the workflow is just not there. You have to come to the office, you have to ask, we have to physically issue a permit. So there's all sorts of different things that, can go away and be just more of a seamless package.
And one of the things that Nikhil had said is like, they hired staff from companies like Airbnb so that they, know how to create that platform to make it as easy as possible for the public. And they have been working with Weymouth Recreation to switch over to Kaizen completely. And yeah, they said that it's just an amazing.
Weymouth's happy with it.
Very, yeah.
So will it be easier to find as a town member, your invoice for what you've spent with Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
That's a key question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is
And it's actually.
you can literally use your Apple and Google
Which
Wallet.
is fun, because it's everything. I promise.
So,
That's why we make it.
I know, yeah.
How long have they been in business?
I don't know, do you
I
know?
think it's been like 4 or 5 years. They're just making their way to the East Coast now.
Yeah, so they've been doing most of their work over on the West Coast, specifically like California, Colorado.
And beyond these guys and my rec,
2018.
are there other providers of this type of
So
software?
that's a great question. So I've never seen anything like this. They are beyond, any type of software that's currently out there right now, honestly. And I've worked with a lot of them. When I was in Georgia, even when I first started here, we were on RecTrack. We've done Rec Desk, and then we're on MyRec now. So, the only other ones are like Sportsman. I think Civic Plus does something similar to it.
Yeah, and the one thing about all of them is they all, and inside of our MRPA group and nationally, everybody kind of jokes like, they all do one thing really well.
Yeah.
None of them do multiple things really well. My rec has honestly been the best of the best. You know,
Yes.
I would say probably 60% of Massachusetts uses them. You know, in putting the two platforms together, it's really the technology that's been brought in by the, you know, in the software engineers that are hired here that really makes the big difference. And they're also the first ones to really incorporate AI into there. So you guys saw some of the demos last week where, you know, the AI is constantly evolving and making it more seamless in their platform. In some of the demonstrations that even showed you last week, how it's able to vet if it's a real driver's license or a real, you know, a real upload of your gas bill to proof of residency and things like that. So there's, you know, different things within their platform that just don't exist, and even in their platform are light years away from what anybody else has shown us so far.
And I mean, that's one of the things to kind of highlight and think about too with the AI verifying documents. Because one of the things with our system is if people go to put in their well visits for their kids, which is required by state law, they literally could upload a picture of themselves. And unless we have our staff go through and vet every single individual one, which we do, then, I mean, and that's hours of time for the staff. So if that's something that we could cut that out, knowing that we would have a system that's going to be able to back up and say, hey, this is not right here. So, you know, you need to get a new form on that.
And in terms of their security and their certifications for all the data that
Yes,
they're being served up.
they're fully HIPAA compliant, which was one of the other things that
The others are not.
we outsource to Camp Docs right now in order to get that. This is something where we could bring that back in off that other platform and kind of keep everything internal rather than outsource it. So, you know, that's a nominal savings over the course of the year. I'm thinking, where are we at with Camp Docs? Is it 1,500 a year? Or was
I
that
don't
for the-
know. Yeah, I
I
don't
forget
know.
if that was for the couple years, but there's a cost associated with that as well. There's also some other parts of our there's also other payments associated with that, you know, we can list out, but there'd be the savings. I think we estimated that there'd be between $5,000 and $10,000 a year that we cut out of our payments for all the different resources that we use, bringing it back into this platform. Which is also one-stop shop for you, because you don't need to have Brightwheel, you don't need to have MyRec, you don't need to have all of the little things that we kind of piecemeal together in order to get all of our things out there.
And does it integrate into the town website?
We asked that question.
I don't know that we asked that. I think I mean, honestly, I would say it probably could do better than what we have now, because currently it's just a link that would take you straight to my rec. And then that's where you go through all of the stuff to be able to figure out like, okay, which program do I want to sign on to? You know, do I look at my finances so that I can, you know, get that form? So all of that stuff, it's either going to be as simple as that, where it's just a click and you would go to the site, or there may be a way to embed it more that I'm not sure.
It's a Total disaster after a year. Is there an opt-out?
Yes, sir, there is, and it's not after a year. It's if you are like, their goal is to, make us and our customers happy. And if we are not, and it's not working, they're totally fine with saying, we'll split and, all amicable. Yeah. Sorry. I'm not totally distracted here. I got it. Ah, okay.
And in terms of help desk, in case something goes wrong.
Yeah.
people Are, you can actually reach people to talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like their resolution chart there.
Truly, they want to provide, the best software they possibly can. That is something that, Nikhil has gone out and headhunted specific people to be able to create this product. And so that's when they ask for the percentage, that's why they're asking it, because they want their staff to be quality. They want it to be able to be customizable to us, the customer. So, there's things that we do where they have like a think tank for the company that we're currently using. And, maybe they'll look at it, things will be on there for years. And, you'll look to see like, hey, has anybody looked at this? Like, is this an update? Is it, whereas if, we decide, hey, we need X, Y, and Z, they would jump on it and try to figure out how to get us X, Y, and Z. So that, yes, is a huge difference in comparison to, I guess, help or updating of things that need to be updated in the past.
Did the Myrick software ever sort of go down, and then was there a lag time in just getting things
It
back
happens
up?
from time to time, yeah. It's sometimes there are times where they'll tell us ahead of time, like that they're gonna shut everything down so that, they can do maintenance. There have been a few times where we've had to call in and say, hey, like, it's not working at all. And they've been really good about like getting on that and fixing that as soon as possible.
Is this a good timeline in terms of like resolution, in terms of what they've offered here?
Yeah, so the way that we were kind of looking at it was, we were already, into our next fiscal year.
He's asked about the time to fix.
Oh, that's
There's a
that's-
resolution.
oh,
There's a resolution timetable in there.
within 8 hours.
It's pretty standard. I mean,
It's kind of the basics.
it's not really laid out in our current contract, but the biggest thing that, by the way, takes down most of the rec software systems is when we all can summer camp on the same day. It always happens. It's just
Overload.
something that the server just can't handle.
Taylor Swift tickets.
Correct. Correct.
We won't get into that one. So,
So you were about to say something about the timeline for doing this.
yes, so if this is something that, we were gonna sign off and do, we were looking at doing a test of skiing. That would be the first program that we would put in and see how it goes. That's, so because it's one of our bigger programs, but it doesn't start until, so the program itself doesn't start until January. We would be able to work with them through the end of the summer, beginning of fall, to be able to get that ready. So that we could use that as the tester to see how it goes. Same thing, if it's something where we're like, that did not work for us at all, then we can just stay with MyRec and continue. Or if we think it's amazing, then, we can start moving everything from MyRec off of that. So that was kind of,
The
go ahead.
the full kind of speak out about it was we would get that going, and then if everything went well with the registration, the goal would be to have all the summer stuff loaded for January 1st release.
Yeah.
So we would stay on MyRec with the non-summer programming, so everything for spring and spring 2
Stay the
of
same. Yeah.
2025, but summer registrations would be taking place simultaneously over on the other platform.
And when do ski registrations start up?
So it kind
We're at the mercy of what you said.
what you said, Anashoba,
Whenever they decide to tell
what
us.
their rates are.
Oh, gotcha.
Right, because that we can't give a price to a program if we don't know what they're.
The prices, yeah.
Yeah,
We typically get them the second or third week of October.
Yeah.
When they can see snow on the horizon, they'll give us the rate.
and then we do try to get that
That's when
out
they start
there,
bringing people.
Right.
yeah, as soon as possible.
Um,
So I just wanted you guys to review it, see if you have questions, and just kind of get your thoughts on how you feel about it.
So what will the experience be for the town member if they're signing somebody up for summer programming as well as, let's say, some winter program that's happening? Will they be doing this in theory in both platforms?
In theory, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so if you were sending somebody to spring track and field and also Camp Tadawon, then yes, you would have to experience both platforms simultaneously for the spring of 2025 until we decided what we were actually gonna do.
So we would have to be very clear about what programs are on which one.
Yes.
And it also would be a really good way for us to get feedback for people to say like, yeah, this is amazing, like, let's switch over, or, I don't know about it.
Will people need to create new accounts in this new cans?
They will,
Which-
yeah,
We need to do that anyway. When the MyRec merge happened, a lot of things got duplicated, wrong numbers got put into the wrong things. And, we worked through it for like 3 years and we're close to having everything, but we still call people and they're like, that's not me.
yeah.
Why not port it over?
We
Right.
with MyRec, we did try to transport the data, but it
And
did not work.
It's not a MyRec thing.
It's not,
it
it's
was-
super difficult to
It
do.
happens all the time
Yeah.
and, that's what we were talking about. We'll just start scratch and, tell everybody like, this is where we're going. This is the full registration process. It's gonna take about 15 minutes to register, your whole family, but, just it'll help us clean up our whole database as well.
That data.
Exactly. And we also have, families who forget their password. So rather than just request a new one, they create a new account. Now, and then the unfortunate part about our current software is we can't delete accounts. So,
And it
like,
doesn't,
it's
and it
like
doesn't
last week,
stop you when it doesn't recognize that you already
Yeah.
have an account.
it's like last week, I was like looking for some kid in a program and like, why can't I find it? There's no registration. And finally I was like, oh, there's a duplicate account under a different last name, and that's where the registration took place.
And we could merge them, but there's an issue with if you merge, it only takes over the data from one. So the other data disappears. So, yeah, it's
Short
a,
story long, it's
Yeah.
just good to start from scratch.
So I think maybe a little explanation to people,
Mhm.
the new
Absolutely.
system and you want good, clean data. So
Yeah.
yes, create a new account.
And
Would be
Kaiser
interesting.
software does differentiate. It won't let you create a new account.
I was just gonna ask that.
it uses, yeah,
So
it
you-
would use Google,
Your
so,
address or your some other thing.
so yeah, you can use your Google, account to log in, so it'll know that, or Apple,
I see.
whatever you
Right,
have.
you don't even need it. It's the same thing as like signing in somewhere else. You can click your Google or your Apple account or your Facebook account, and that it pulls all of your data in. And then you just verify all the information. And
Yep.
you just say sign in with Google every time and that's it. You don't need to enter a password or anything.
And I say that you can use Google Pay, Apple Pay, like all of those things, which is not available to us.
Then you use Stripe instead of government portal, so the interface as far as the POS, like I was saying, you gotta put your address in every time, that goes away. The credit card fees with Stripe are just a little bit smaller, like the point percentage. So, and then, Stripe allows us to get the handheld readers and stuff like that, that we don't have access to now, so that will help with the interface of doing on
Yeah,
anything when we're at special events, all the times that we have those where we're running off the Surface Pros and stuff. Now it's just one unit, just like when you go to the ballpark and they scan your ticket, it's that exact same reader would be used for everything.
I mean, so yeah, it certainly sounds like an advancement. The only thing I would say is we should make sure that we go through all the right steps in terms of procurement. This has to go out as a bid package and they have to reply to it, or how that's gonna work.
So when they did work with Weymouth, and they would be considered a sole provider, which is what we have currently with MyRec. But I can do the same thing. So yeah, I can get in touch with Brian and have that conversation on all of that.
And then it might be worth checking if it really is a better interface, or if there are other things, either if there are other solutions the town has or is looking at through the whatever other IT providers we have.
Yeah.
That's probably not gonna be this sophisticated, or if there are other facilities, things that would want to be included, whether it's the rooms that the select board manages or
Oh, I bet you.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I can have a
How
conversation
do
with
they,
Nancy.
so
and
actually,
see.
how do they deal with, if you're gonna do all your reservations and things with zero fee? Thing,
What do you mean?
like we rent Bay Park and waive the fee, there's no.
So that would have to go through us, and we would change that.
Just change the availability.
That would be something that, yeah, in that instance, you'd have to call and make that reservation. You wouldn't just be able to do it on your own.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could do it on your own, but we'd have to go in on the back end and fix
Right.
it. So I don't know. We haven't.
Until you make a payment,
Yeah.
it's not yours.
There's somebody, yeah, some of the, see how that works, if there's a way to manage things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can always go in and put in any reservation that we want on the backside,
Yeah.
and then it just
Absolutely.
works backwards the other way.
Yeah.
And could it help you manage the holiday helpers?
I haven't thought about that, but I'm sure there is definitely a way to be able to do that for sure. Yeah, I mean, we can have that conversation with them.
It's very manual now, right?
It is, and it isn't. We started implementing the Amazon, gift registry last year, which was extremely helpful. But that is a lot of like, you have to put each item in.
I mean, it's very different, but I don't know if it's a question to ask.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's a great question. I definitely can reach out and see what they would be able to do for us in that situation, because it is
I do have
a
to
very
say,
special program.
I also have to say, the way that we do it does provide a level of anonymity that putting it into the normal system probably would not.
But they might have, I mean, they might do something similar if they're in other towns that
I mean, that.
could allay
holiday
that
helpers
fear.
is
I understand.
Very
And then-
specific, like, I don't think there's many programs out there like that.
maybe you should push them and maybe they'll develop something.
I don't
And other towns will do it.
I love.
I mean, it's not.
You know, it's probably outside of their realm, but it's worth just asking and saying what we have and.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I
It's
have
worth
no
a question.
question with like asking them at all.
Because if it's a way to help streamline everyone's work.
All right.
See what the friends are. Whatever they can say.
No, that's right in the back.
Did we nominate for that?
Yeah,
Kevin.
Kevin.
okay,
That's not here.
and it's under, anything else?
That's why we know it. No, I think, I think, but I think just that, let's make sure that it. They do due diligence on the process and. The few other odds and ends, but it seems like a step forward.
Giant leap. Giant leap. Okay. Switch. So last month we approved the Littleton Track Organization to use Bay Park on September 15th for the Littleton Road Race. We did get a communication back after the meeting saying that they did want to be able to have dirigible So they did need to ask the commission to get approval to have alcohol on site so that they can go get a one-day liquor license.
They did that last year, but different company, right?
Same company.
No,
They
it's
use
not.
Veritable Lexus to do it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Doritos was there.
Okay. And did we have any issues last year? We didn't, I didn't know.
We moved them 300 King Street because of the rain, but that was that.
Yeah.
Alcohol wise,
Yeah,
those guys are good. They've done so many events with the town.
they know the process, they got it down.
So do we need to vote to, do we have any questions on that?
I'm good with it. Yeah.
I don't. So I will, make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for the
The Littleton Track Organization.
the Littleton Track Organization,
I'm showing that.
Littleton Road Race.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Huh.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have to go through the, or George wants to go to select board as a
They do, yes, yeah.
couple of steps, but. Okay, by us.
There we go. I don't know why I'm having so many issues with it tonight. All right. All right. So, last month, we had, Geraldine Miller, present this concept of a, boulder gathering circle, as a replacement for the rock labyrinth. She had mentioned the one outside of Shaker Lane, so I did go take a photo of that. Yeah, that's boulders in a circle.
So now I thought.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be a bit
Higher,
taller,
right.
but, cause that's just kind of what the drawing sort of looks like, but.
See, code.
So that was their proposal, and you guys had asked me to kind of go through and see if I could find some prices. I didn't hear back from, some of these companies, but I can still work on that. But one of the things that we talked about was, these shade structures. You see a lot of these now. So you can get something like this, 30-inch, really simple one. That's probably the cheapest option. Sorry, I said 30-inch, 30-foot. I just was going to fix that. No, it's mini Stonehenge, guys. Yeah, right. Very many, very many. 30-foot shade structure. So those cost around 14,300. And then you have, something much larger like this double layered structure. And then that goes to like 20,000 plus. But it's definitely, you can tell one's definitely more sturdy than the other. So, you know, when you think about wanting to put something in, it's something, you know, we'd want there to be there for a while. So that's just some basic shade structures. We also looked at some ideas of these pavilions. I did not get, prices back on these. But you have something that's, very wooden, and then you have something that's more metal. So either one of these is a possibility of something that we could get. And I did go out and measure it, and it's about 25 foot in diameter. So we could go a little bit outside, or we could stay like right on the corners. It just depends on, you know, what you would want to choose to do.
And probably if we did this, it would, you know, putting down some sort of concrete pad. And the nice things about, you know, the more solid structures are, you know, setting up for lighting and outlets and things like that, which we currently have a lack of all of that. One of the reasons that it's a struggle to use special events and stuff over there is we don't actually have any power unless you plug in some meat box in front of the parking lot. So for use, it'd be similar, kind of like Fay Park, where the gazebo has all of those amenities in there. Probably something that we would look into.
haven't seen the ones in the gazebo. Is that in a lockbox or just there?
No, it's just there.
They're just there.
Yeah.
There's just a breaker box and there's lighting in the gazebo as well as, I think there's about 8 receptacles.
And realistically, whenever we do get our lights back in, they will be LEDs. So that's gonna actually reduce the amperage that we'll end up using. So we would have extra amperage to use for this.
Right.
Yeah.
And is there any word on our lights?
I have not heard anything at all. Let me put that on my list of things to do, reach out to you. Stephen Youngley,
How are the charging stations going?
they're done.
You're jumping ahead there, Peter.
You jumped it,
Oh,
jumped it.
oh my gosh.
So
The lights, we talked about the lights months before, but the
Oh.
EV charger is done.
Isn't that nuts? That is nuts.
For the structure, if we were to do a pavilion or a shade structure
There's also gazebos.
or a gazebo, would there be like bench seating in there? Or what's our thought on a table or what are we thinking?
I think we should lean towards picnic tables.
Yeah, we definitely would want it to be, as much seating as you potentially could get with obviously comfort of ease of people being able to move. But yes, we would definitely want there to be seating in there so that, people could rent this and actually have an actual event.
Our vision that we've discussed is, one of the things in the survey was having more pavilions, having more like picnically areas, but, from a policy standpoint, what you guys said, and we talked about this, I think, 2 years ago, was, clearly defining what the rental is. Right now, in our language, essentially rent the entire park for $25 an hour. Right, this would be an opportunity for us to define, like, this is what your actual rental is. Right, so if you're renting a larger pavilion like this, we've also looked at some smaller ones to put in. Kind of your typical ones that you would see, like in your state parks that have the picnic table built in with the roof over top of it. We've looked at a couple of those to put in like Bay Park and 300 King Street, and various different places. But then we could clearly define like, okay, you're renting pavilion one or you're renting the gazebo, things like that. And this is where your birthday party is going to be when you have that permit. Because right now, if somebody really wanted to say, well, I rented Fay Park, for $25 an hour and I have the whole park, that's how everything's written right now.
It does say in there though that it is a public space, so it's not like, right, they can't throw people out because they have permit. So yeah, I think if we're genuinely looking at something that's more of an actual structure, then that's gonna probably cost us probably anywhere between that 25,000 to like 60,000, depending on what we get.
Yeah, it's it would be a nice amenity. We're not gonna make that back any reasonable.
No,
I don't think we're concerned about that.
No,
We
I just-
want to
yeah.
create a nice space.
Yes.
The other piece is, this also by having some sort of infrastructure, there's bills on the floor to say that we have to provide water at every single one of our parks. So, this would give us a place to install like a water fountain at the same time
Yep.
on the pad or something like that. So, yeah, it's really all about just the
Improving.
easiness of the, it's parents with kids. It's a nice, there's no shade in that entire park.
no,
So even just have one space where there's,
It's a little bit in a couple.
you can have one person under a tree.
Yeah.
They're pretty small trees.
I thought we had one.
They one got cut
I
down.
know the big one got cut. No, I thought.
no, there's one right, you are correct. There is one right behind the
Well,
signboard.
no, I
that
know
we put
like the
up.
benches had
Yep.
a little bit of cover.
Yep.
Near the front, across
Yeah.
from the chess table.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
so, yeah.
The little walkway.
And then there's a little wobbly house. You can go in there. It's shade in there. Okay.
So, thoughts, ideas?
Kind of partial to the last slide, the wooden structure.
Okay.
Simple
State
Sure.
Parks guy?
tree guy, sustainable.
Terrified
Yeah.
of the maintenance. That's my only concern with wood stuff is that
Yeah.
maintenance is.
the only concern I have with ones that go straight down the poles.
Yeah.
Are children shimmying up them because.
It's harder to do than
I
you
know
think.
someone who would have done that.
Yeah. You or yours.
Yes.
My young child. Big shimmy.
Yeah.
How do we get on the roof again?
Yeah.
Um,
So, I don't know, like I said, we could do straight shade structure. That's something that has less possibility of somebody being able to get on the roof, but again, it's not fully like, obviously if you've got something like that double layer, you'll reduce the amount of like rain that would come through, but it's not gonna be completely waterproof with something
Right.
like that.
The other thing we want to think about is something that's substantial so that if a hurricane came through, it's not just like the
Blow through.
well,
Right.
yeah. Well,
sail is running off, floating.
Absolutely.
So something like that. is probably- Plus it matches a little bit of the Fay Park aesthetic if we have an aesthetic as a,
Which one are you talking about?
like
The
the,
wooden pavilion.
yeah,
So that one's the gazebo or the pavilion.
because that one's pretty at Fay Park. Not that they have to match. If we're developing an aesthetic.
Gotcha.
Things to think about.
Okay. So I think it's. I mean, you don't have to make a decision on this tonight. But I would, if you're not excited about the rock, I would, because I think she's already got people lined up to do the work.
Didn't she say Cataldo's was gonna donate the rest?
Yeah.
Did we, I kind of should go back to the minutes that we just approved. Did we, kind of, we were not that excited about it? Or-
Well,
Okay.
there was really
No
no comment really about it. I think for like our take as the department, I think it's something that, we really want to be able to, we prefer to do something like this, like a gazebo or a pavilion, because as Tim was saying before, when somebody rents something, it's nice to say like, okay, well, you get the pavilion.
You get
Right.
the pavilion, yeah.
Instead of
agree.
like, well, you get the gathering circle,
Yeah.
I mean, and there's no coverage over that. Again, that was something we're trying to get at that park as well. So,
I mean, it's also just nice to have, like I said, just a shade structure there.
Yeah.
Everybody who's
Right.
there on a daily basis or somewhere to sit down and have lunch, something like that. You know, that those things don't exist in that park right now. There's one little bench in Aiden's playground, but that's all there is. That with how much traffic that place sees.
was that the picture, wasn't I? Was that one?
There used to be.
That's what I'm saying. There's
There-
one little
there's
square.
three
That's the
little-
only one. Yeah.
Right.
they're very small though. It's like a square table with little children seats. So adults can sit there, but I can't sit.
And then back to the point, it gives us the ability to put in like a Vada filler. So, create some infrastructure there so parents don't have to leave just to go get, simple things like that.
Plus, it would be nice too if the Hager homestead going in, if people, just thinking about people wanting to go for a walk and have their coffee outside, it'd be someplace to go. That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely.
Where do you live? We can identify a space next to your house.
I mean, that's on the list of like, things to do.
And the senior center, I wouldn't be that far. either.
Right.
It's right down the street.
And there is a possibility of creating a walking path that goes from town hall over there now. So that's something we'd have to work with conservation to do, but
It'd be nice.
quite possible.
Yeah, the other piece, that we had discussed is the other thing that we can do is if we create these places as well, we can also do like a pop-up program at, Castle in the Trees and have space to do it as well.
Yeah.
We've worked on stuff like that at the beach and other, places that we've had things. It just gives us the ability,
That would be nice. Maybe you'll get a book club that wants to rent it out.
I mean, it's just, people can just go there and do those kind of things, but, we could do like an art program for the kids. Our toddler program is starting to pick up. So like, I'm thinking about like, Kelly has practiced preschool, that could be a place that she goes and, she does something different down there other than practice preschool. And, it's just things that get people introduced, especially, one of the things that John's whole vision of creating that was something that he really needed when he had young kids. So now we're trying to create the same kind of thing for, moms who just need to meet people who just moved into Littleton, or dads, or whomever it is that's there. So these spaces kind of help create that as well.
Yes.
Like a pavilion concept.
Yeah, I think it is
More useful.
something that we need. And maybe I'm just looking at the picture of the site. Maybe there's I think the organic seating area is a neat idea.
Yeah.
But this is certainly prime real estate for something else. So maybe thinking of plan on a pavilion type space there, because it is sort of right up, easy access, could be accessible, all those things. And then look at a little seating area, maybe the back or some other place where people might want to get into the player.
Seating boulders around the pit.
Gaga fit.
No, the drainage
Oh, the
trail.
drain fit.
It's our park and rec pit.
Pit slap
In
on.
the show.
So do you guys want to take a vote on, just because what direction should I have that conversation with Gerald?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we need a vote, but
Is there a different location for the rock? Sitting,
That I don't know, but that's just that was her presentation of how to reuse
yeah,
that rock labyrinth.
Yeah, I think those are two separate conversations, like creating a new, I just think right now, we're just looking for the direction of
Yes or
Rock
no?
Labyrinth had a great run. It didn't really pan out. So the direction that we're giving you guys is to research putting this in and let's make it happen in the next fiscal year.
pavilion versus.
Yeah,
I think you. take
well
that.
said, Tim.
You're gonna get more bang for your wider audience.
Yeah.
I think an ideal situation, that's it's ready to go in the spring of next year.
Yeah.
Like if we pour the concrete, in August or September and put the pavilion up in whatever, I think that would be good.
I think a lot more people would be excited about a pavilion versus a
There would be a lot
rock
more
circle.
use, yeah.
Yeah,
And the little kids would love it, but I think the people taking the little kids to the park might appreciate it, the pavilion.
Right.
and we've
Yeah.
had an uptick of people getting permits to be able to do like birthday parties and things like that. there.
And maybe the trade-off is we put a couple, if we go back one slide. And maybe if you have something like the wooden one, maybe we put a couple sitting boulders outside of that wood and then, we have, some landscaping done around it as well. Maybe that's, Cataldo is, interested.
Yeah.
Like she said,
Right.
it could be a way to kind of just tie the two together. Maybe you can put a couple of granite boulders outside of those two front things and create an additional little kind of sitting area that's, I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah.
And then that way we keep them kind of in the whole design of the project.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a rock painting event there and we put a couple things around the gazebo in those little gardens. Maybe it's something that we work towards in the future. Yeah.
This is the discussion on the commission and
Yes.
select board MOA, so. I did print out a copy for everybody. So you have that.
So this was the draft bouncer on the loop. Peter and I reviewed it. And then I sat down with Mark Rumbacher, who's the select board chair, and to get through the final details. And this is what we came up with as a draft. I think kind of the main points on this, we do, so the commission retains appointing and hiring and firing authority. We are going to, in this, maintain that an appointee or designee of the commission will be responsible for both goal setting and annual review with the town administrator. Well, I should say the annual review will be with the town administrator, like the town administrator designate to the goal setting. So the major change is, I think, bringing the town administrator having some sort of day-to-day responsibility for supervision and this one and that, and that will still be in the consultation with the commission. So that's kind of the gist of it.
It said in there that the commission or designee of the commission and the town administrator would conduct the annual review.
Correct.
Okay. I had just heard the town administrator.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So there's still, so we're, and really will the commission. And so the other piece that was included in this is the policy on reviews of
Yeah.
employees, multi-member boards. We talked about this last year. I think hopefully the path that we will take is, again, to designate somebody, probably the chair, to be responsible for that. It takes it out of the open meeting responsibilities or open meeting requirements, can do the review privately. And so that's kind of the way this is laid out, is that the chair or whoever else the commission wants to designate will do that. Along with and then the review would be done along with TA. So this would, if we approve this, then the select board will also have to approve it to authorize the TA to take on that role. And once that's done, then the two chairs will sign the document. That would be the, but we also need to do the designation of who's going to be the commission responsible person.
So can it happen at a later time, or do you have to designate like right away, or as needed, I guess?
I think we want somebody holding that spot. I mean, we can do it after review.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
For goal setting.
Performance review,
Yeah.
I was just thinking in terms of other functions. One of the things we took out was the town administrator being involved in hiring
Right.
other positions besides the director. I thought that was
Yeah, there was some
needed.
right. So yeah, there's a couple other things about them. The town administrator helping with the creation of job descriptions.
I saw that.
Yeah, that if we don't need that help, I don't think, as much. You'd certainly still need to work with HR and schedule
For sure.
other positions.
Yes.
But if
That piece is still in here about the job
That's
descriptions.
no, we changed it to just for the, no, it is for.
Yeah. And other
Yes.
employee positions.
Yeah, so just, and that's, the
we need to work with HR to get things on the grid and all those other.
Oh, totally, we do that
Yeah,
now, yeah,
exactly.
but this is saying that the town administrator is part of that process.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought we'd taken out that other employees. That would, Peter, would you?
Yeah, I was thinking it's just for the director position. I mean, it would stand to, I mean, this is the way it reads here, any position that you have, albeit seasonal or what have you. Administrator or designee would need to be involved or could weigh in.
Yeah, I thought we had taken that out, so let me.
What's the current process for that?
What's that? Like creating a new position?
Yeah,
So we would, research and we would write a job description. We would work with the HR department because it would also have to go through the, I can't think of the name of the committee. There's a 3-person committee that actually goes through and they would read it and grade it. So they would give it whatever its grade and status scale. Yeah, the pay scale would be. Sorry?
It's a classing comp.
Well, it would, yeah, so they would make it part of that class and comp grid. And then, it just would have to be approved by you guys for us to, make a legitimate job and go out and hire for it.
because we should be going through this soon, right?
Hopefully, yep, that is the goal.
Oh, the class and comp, the job description.
Creating.
Well, that, but creating,
Oh.
yeah, like a rec
Right.
manager position.
Yeah.
So I am working on that right now.
Okay.
So that's something that Tim and I will go back and forth and work on what that job description is, make sure that we feel like we have everything in there. Then we would turn it over to HR for them to review, and then it can go to that committee to get, approved for grading.
And so we wouldn't expect the town administrator, which is why we're looking at B, how
Yeah,
it still says it's there.
right.
I think actually, so I think that was. Yeah, we can certainly discuss that further with, if we want to take that out or get back, but I think the intent there was just the HR office and other representatives rather than, because what now I'm looking at it again, we took it out of, we took the other positions out of C where, we don't need
Oh, for them to go through
Yeah, we
the
don't need to
screening
go
and
through-
application.
screening for all positions, nor do we necessarily need to do that either, but so that's that was intended just for the director. But I think and we can confirm this, but the part B is really just like going through the office and that includes HR. Not necessarily the
I mean, I think
the
if
TA in
that,
particular.
yeah, clarified that it was through HR,
Yeah.
then that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I would agree. It's, and B, strike town administrator slash designee and put in HR representative.
Yeah, actually, that's the easy way to solve that.
And I think that's the intent there, but I can confirm. Just that if he wants to be involved with.
Yeah, lifeguard twos, lifeguard threes.
Yeah.
Does this person get overtime?
The designee is just the HR department. Then I think that clarifies. I guess, so do we, if the TA's office really does want to be included there, do we have a strong objection to that in terms of setting up job descriptions?
I mean, my whole thing in just any of this is just timeliness, you know?
Yeah.
There hasn't been that. And also just communication has also been on both sides. Whether it's the TA or the liaison or, whoever's there. That's my biggest concern with any of this.
Yeah.
Right? Going back to 5 years ago, we never even finished the MOU once everybody got involved with schools and, we're working on a project now where that might be helpful to have.
Yes.
So that's my main concern.
Yep.
And I think,
I would also argue that the people with the experience on what is needed, that skill set doesn't lie with the town administrator.
And yeah, and nothing that I've heard in the discussions with him implies that he wants to be involved in that sort of day-to-day level.
Right.
The nitty gritty of it. So but yeah, we can, basically what I'm getting at is, do we say we think that should be more specific to the HR department and try and get it changed? If there's pushback, does it need to come back, or are we okay with leaving it as is if there's pushback?
I guess it would matter if if the town administrator wanted to get involved with every single position that you guys offer.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's just waste of time,
And the way to think about this document too, is it's like, take myself out of it, take Jim out of it, and it's whoever's in those roles, right? So,
And that's why having the director position kind of tied in with the town administration makes sense, but yeah, I don't see why it needs to, I think the HR part of it is what we should write in.
So I guess the two potential changes there would be then to change. Well, I think there's two ways you could go. You could change the town administrator. Can we just get rid of that? I don't know. Yeah. Could change the town administrator designee piece, or we could take out the other employee positions in the last line, so that it would just be for the director.
Yeah.
But there already is a job description for the director, correct?
yes.
So that's kind of a moot.
Well, but if we're
Could always change it.
yeah, if you're posting it again, you're gonna review it and make sure that it is in fact what we still want to do.
So it wouldn't be
That's
created, it would be
business
revised.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we really don't, as a commission, you brought forward, the last program coordinator position that, in the office position.
Yeah.
And we kind of reviewed it, but we didn't really designate a member to, create the job description, did we?
No.
So,
Yeah, because that had already existed,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
so as a for instance, I think what this might fall into is, we're in the process of possibly the rank manager position, definitely that one. And then
Definitely, yeah.
we need to rewrite the job description for the club. Because that needs to go out the post, so yeah, that's where we need to make sure that like
We can do that in a timely.
it's timely, that it's not something that My main concern would be as somebody's, when it comes to like, oh, well, do we really need to create that position or have that position? Here we can talk through, we know the day to day and how business works and things like that. Whereas, not to say that it's gonna happen, but if somebody starts from either a monetary standpoint, things like that, starts kind of holding things back because they're trying to, that's where,
Right.
we've seen some issues in the past. When
Yes.
we've had to do these things. Case in point, when we did the last class comp study and we had to then go back and rewrite everybody's job description because it wasn't, the time was not spent to properly do the exercise.
Right. And even then, we still had to go back.
Because nobody did it on the front end.
Yep. I have a different question, but I will wait to ask. So you guys come up with a.
So I still think it should be just HR representative. I don't know, I mean, and other relevant town officials, I don't know, in terms of, it seems kind of like throwaway language, but I do agree that if something needs to be done, and if we're setting precedent that we have to get sign off from town administrator, or if we have to wait for them to designate somebody, that could be a very lengthy process.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, essentially, is it Jim? Is it Ryan? Is it, our liaison? That's. Does that then have to be voted on?
Right.
At the select board meeting before we go forward?
Is the concern that this was already signed off on by the select board? Is that what the
No,
concern
this
is?
is, well, the concern is, I mean, we'd like to get this done.
Because
Um,
right.
We can easily change it and remove draft.
Right.
We could do that now.
One of the things we could do is just make the modification that we want and then say to the select board, hey, and Mark, hey, we just made a slight change and this is what we approved.
Yeah, we certainly can do that. And I don't know if that will.
Do one weigh in before we signed it or before we approved?
Right, if they would, it's sort of that, we could make that change and approve it, and then if they object, then they come back with a different draft and we do it again next month. Or you guys can say, if they propose something different, it's reasonable, we can approve it without that.
Do we have a date for our meeting next month?
No, that is on.
So this is a concern as well,
Yeah,
that if it's then towards the latter half of August, what does this do for your hiring?
I think the real question is, you've been in the talks, what do you think? I mean, does it help the department? Is it something that there should be concerns about? What is?
at the end of the day, that's the piece is if it is going to help the department, then.
Yeah, and I
you
think
know,
that's
worth
our
it.
biggest thing is it's
Yeah.
like, no one has sat down and just like said, hey, here's a straight answer and this is what the urgency is and everything else. I think one of our biggest things, just to be blatantly honest, is like, number A is the disciplinary thing. Like, that's like the leader.
Yeah, and so yes, I think it will. The goal in the end is that it should be helping. That is everybody's. Between myself, Mark, and the discussion I've had with Jim, it is. Not there's no negative intent. We want to get the TA's office more involved, and I think we've had the discussion that I have shown up a lot more often than maybe the commissioner chair should be expected to. And we are not day to day in the building. Now, I have a lot of concerns about the fact, that I don't think TA is going to be day to day either. And particularly if you go over to 36 King Street, I
Right.
think that's gonna be a real issue, but. And also, we're elected volunteers and management is not our profession. This is not what we do for a living.
As it's the select board.
Yes, well, fair enough.
I mean, one of the things that we just said, that going into this, it just seemed like because this document didn't exist, that a lot of things, were not in place and there were certain, minutes and, that there could have been like maybe some good faith measures of, hey, we're gonna do this, and then, at the last minute, things were canceled or communication wasn't, put out there because this document wasn't in place. And, that's my main concern is, why does this document create that? Why isn't there just why isn't there just a good faith kind of thing that says, listen, I think you get what I'm saying.
I absolutely get what you're saying.
Especially
And
with,
I have-
the whole reason for us, one of the reasons for this is Alicia's review, and there was an opportunity for that, and
Right.
it didn't happen.
Yes,
Twice.
and yes, and that concern has been shared to the chair of the select board, and there was some discussion about trying to straighten that out. And get a little get more engagement, whether this document is in place or not. So, it is not, if we don't do this at this meeting, it's not gonna be the end of the world. It's been out there for a while. It'd be nice to get it off the table, particularly since we don't necessarily have an August meeting.
I just,
But
like, my concern is if we are in that place where we're specifically not getting support because this hasn't been implemented. Like, if we leave this all the way to September,
Yeah.
that puts us behind on a lot of things. That's not how I operate, and I would hope that people would operate that way too, and say, we just want to do what's right, but I do feel like that has been some issues that we have had in the last couple of months.
I think back to your point, it's, you guys are the managers, right? And there's this document that at the end of the day, we're not voting on. And, it's ultimately up to you and the select board on what needs to happen. However, it does seem at times like, because that's not happening, that it's kind of a punishment, and that's not the way. And that's one of the things that it's just like, at the end of the day, none of this falls back on either of us or the department because this doesn't exist. So what's happened shouldn't have been bearing on that.
Yep.
And hopefully that's gonna change.
That is my hope.
right, that is the hope. That get a little better support, better integration.
But what happens if it doesn't? That's
I mean, yeah,
another question that I have, like, what is because when we did this before with Anthony, it was like, it was a year.
there was a 1-year trial
It
period.
was a
to see
1-year trial period to see how it went, and then
1-year trial period for what?
So the last time that we did an MOU,
Okay.
and the way that it was written is that the park commission did it for a year to see how things, and when nothing had changed, that was when
It
it
was
came
not,
back
yeah.
with Fred and all of those guys voted to bring it back into here. So we've been here before,
Yeah.
which is mainly our concern about, we have lived through this.
makes sense.
Uh,
Because there's no end date to this, so once you sign off on this, and this is what it is.
well, and I guess that is, that is a question worth asking of if, if we decide that we don't like the way this is going. Do we have the option to dissolve it?
Because, there was a volatile relationship there in the past, and that was why I think, Fred and the group at that time decided
Yeah.
to terminate that, agreement. Not to mention that the review was never done either, so.
Well, and that's, so, part of that is I think our intent here is that we are maintaining the majority of the control. In terms of we're still doing the goal setting, we're still doing review. The TA is going to be part of the review. But
I want somebody to say that the goal of this document is to have a better partnership. I think that's, what this document, the spirit of this document should be that, right? Partnership, management, whatever you want to call it, like that's what the goal should be ultimately. No one has clearly stated, like, that's what we're, you know.
yes, and the discussion that we had was that we are trying to get the department to have more support, more integration with the town government, get the TA to be more involved. That's part of the reason that I do want the TA to be involved in goal setting, is that, if they're not involved, and this is, we went back and forth for a long time trying to figure out how to make this work. And one of my major concerns is that the TA does not have, and has not in the past, this is a different TA, he's not been here that long, so I don't want to.
Right.
We're talking about in general, not the individuals that are involved right now, that there has not been engagement or an understanding of what the department goals are to be able to support it. And so it didn't make any sense for that office to be doing a review of something that they had no engagement with.
I mean, to be clear, like, we would share that with them on a yearly basis, so like, that was part. That's one of the things that we're gonna talk about, is goals.
But sharing the goals and having the TA involved in the goal setting.
I have also said they are welcome
Yeah,
to be part of that process.
Right.
Okay.
Some of this is also going to, I think there'll be, the intent here is that there'll be more direction from the select board to the TA on how to.
And so this goes back to kind of my question before. I know it's saying policy goal setting. So is this whole document specifically, I think there needs to be a little clarification that it's specifically about my role. Right? Is it, are the basic policies for the department as a whole still under you guys? Are decisions about finances still under you guys? Like, I feel like there's some little loopholes in here that I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's. Yeah, no, I don't think any of that for the time being, none of that is too big. So it really is just the director role, or the director's goal setting review, those things, everything else, nothing else is changed. I will say that some of the discussions, if you listen to the select board, their ongoing meetings, as they are investigating moving to a town manager role.
Yeah.
Which would change lots of things. How, change some of the elected boards to appointed boards.
Right.
So there's lots of potential change there.
And not having directors report to the town administrator is one of the things that holds that back.
Well, if they move in that direction, it will.
It does, yeah.
It won't slow anything down, right?
It would need to be written as such.
Yes, so if they make that change, this will change.
Right.
This may not be an elected board anymore. Or it may stay elected. There's a lot of open questions, so I don't know where that's going. That is some direction. But yeah, it takes a lot of various boards become reporting are appointed by the town manager potentially. There's a lot of options that it's not clear yet where that's going, but.
So I think there are like four things that we can kind of think about for that B. One is Kate's suggestion about the HR rep. Kind of changing that town administrator designee, putting the HR rep. The other is just striking other employee positions, just having as the director.
Right.
And then those two options, we can either vote on tonight, one of those two, or we go back to Mark and say, hey, we have a slight edit that we want to make, just want to make sure you're okay with it before we vote on it.
Good. So, yeah. I guess what,
Alicia, I was thinking, I mean, on the one you had raised on the E, I mean, I guess the commission may request input from the town administrator and business, so it's not shall. So
Yeah, the shall.
So it's may, it's much better language, I think.
So the commission may undertake there, or both will and shall.
no,
No, I'm saying may is an option for the commission as opposed to if we put shall, then we would have to.
in the second sentence, in terms of getting, so the commission will do the goal setting.
And may
Well,
include.
that one was weird. It's and shall include an objective for professional development. I mean, I'm always up for it, but I mean, you know, I can do every certification under the sun, but you get to a point where I got them all, so.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if you're doing certifications, you have to do.
Well, it says annual appropriation, so that sounds to me like there might be money coming in
Right.
on that side to help with that. Whatever that development might be.
Okay.
What?
Well, but even, if you're doing certifications and maintaining them, you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to maintain credits and things like that.
Yeah.
So
I got
that's. It's not. It's a little odd that it is worded that way, but I think it does remind us that we should be considering professional development for everybody.
I think you're doing an amazing job of that this year, Zach. Really.
You know, I think maybe the other question is because we have the question meeting, like, is this better served as a joint meeting between you and the
Right.
select board, so this can all just be
Hashed out.
questions answered and done, rather than this back and forth kind of. I think all of these questions could be easily answered if everyone's together, or I know there's a meeting tonight, so it might have been a good opportunity to.
I don't think you want to be. That's gonna be a long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're talking about.
No, I'm saying in general, to
in
create this
general.
process,
Yeah.
and just like everything else that we've kind of talked through, that there are easier ways to go about this,
Yes.
is just getting everybody to sit down and say, okay,
Instead of a tennis match.
that might just be the easiest thing, since we don't have a meeting next month or whatever, even if it's everybody
We
getting
may.
together at 11 a.m. on, you know what I'm saying, even if it's like, because this is the only thing on the agenda, it's an 11 o'clock on a Wednesday type thing, whoever. Just an example, it might just be easier to finish it like that.
Yeah.
And then you could have the answer to the clause that if it's not working well, what's the language for an out clause if needed, or.
And Saul could do that all ahead of time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so if that is the direction that we want to go, I can certainly bring that to Mark and see if we can get set up. Or we can, I can also just bring these, I think really it's just the one. It's the
B,
it's B and the out clause,
yeah,
are the two questions. If we can solve that, it may be, maybe we just do a 5-minute Zoom meeting of the commission to knock this off.
I'm kind of thinking it certainly would be in their best interest to. I mean, they don't want to review every employee position. You could
Right.
have. I mean, it's and then where do they draw the line? They're like, oh, we don't want to do these. We're going to just do this
Right.
one and that one.
So I guess, do we? Do we lead, which is the path that would make more sense to change, to get rid of the other employee positions? I think it does. That would be kind of my,
Yeah, I mean,
just my thinking is that when the time comes that the commission is going to be looking at redoing the job description for the director, that
they would unaway it.
that A, they would want to weigh in, and B, I wouldn't want to be doing it on my own.
Yeah, I
So-
get that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the other positions, I think,
Yeah.
is not,
And with the understanding that the other positions, Militia already goes to HR for those.
Right. Yeah,
For
yeah.
that review.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's not happening.
right. So, yeah, so if that, maybe that's we strike the other positions
I think there's like a plural.
within and, put an over there instead. That would tighten us up, and then if we do that and then bring that draft or bring that modification, we'll see if that's.
Yeah, just take out some of the plurals in there because it's just focusing on one position.
Okay.
Do you want a table?
Well, I think if
I'm okay with if we change it that way. So it would be the commission shall designate one of its members to work with the town administrator / designee and other relevant town officials to create the job description and review and approve job postings and advertising material regarding the director of the Parks and Recreation Department.
Yep.
I'm okay with that.
I have to.
Because then it's just one and it's the lead of the.
Right. But what about what happens if it's something that you guys aren't happy with?
I mean. I don't, yeah, I mean, certainly before I sign it, I will confirm that there is an out clause.
Yeah.
But I think. Yeah, I mean, this is the boards agree to it, if the boards go back and say. We no longer agree to this, I don't think we can't make a contract that there is no way out of, so.
I don't know if it's that simple. That's the only thing. You know what I mean? No.
Yeah, like if you need language such as if it's deemed not viable, that one of the boards could vote to disband it or something like that.
I guess the only, I'm thinking that really the only thing that I could see. Well, I should say the only thing, but maybe one of the things that I could see is that there's still not a lot of interaction, but
right?
everything's still coming through here, and then it's just a piece of paper. Just go about business.
So I guess, I mean, what would fall to you guys to decide if you want to give me the authority to sign this once it's adopted by the select board, assuming that there is an acceptable out or reasonably painless out if the commission decides that it's no longer our desire to be part of this. Or we can wait and do it after we get that answer. My preference right now would be to go ahead with it and just make sure that we understand how that is, and I can get that answer and share it with her. But
Yeah, I would say, amend the language, figure out how to get out of it, and then, yeah, move forward.
right, with that, then I would say look for a motion to adopt this MOA as amended. And grant the chair authorization to approve it pending acceptable answer on out clause.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And then the sort of follow-up to that, I guess, is on the I think it may be in this, the way this is structured, but just as a belt and suspenders to look for a motion to appoint the chair as the supervisor for the director of the department.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Appoint
second.
chair.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody.
Goals, baby.
Um, So maybe a couple of things. The main goals that were discussed in Alicia's review were a strategic plan based on the need survey. I'm going to just stick to the ones that are sort of the broader relevant goals. The development of 36 King Street and the tennis court and fields plan, although I think we had some additional discussion that the tennis courts and field plan, we're going to support that as much as possible, but there's also, that really is schools and town need to take some more responsibility for that project, because it is not really, it is a town and schools kind of project, not necessarily a partner to support help. Yeah. Those were the primary things, and then as a person, so any other from the commissioners, things that we would like to think about as goals for the next year.
These ones, the ones I put up on the slide, they're just the reiteration of that strategic plan, the projects. And then I was just thinking more departmental wise. So the one thing I had a conversation with Steve Venuti, who's the chair of ParkComm, was about developing a park and recreation stabilization fund. And that's something that we potentially could do at fall town meeting. So, there is a certain amount of money, we'll have to talk about like developing percentages, things like that of how much of our net we would keep and then put into that stabilization fund, and that would allow us to sort of save up that money so that we can do some of these bigger projects that have kind of been, cycling on capital funds for quite a few years. So that was one of the things that he and I had discussed.
So that's to keep from building up a dollar amount in the reserve fund. Keep
And-
that as an in and out.
Right, and to have that be like, this is solidly for us to be able to do projects.
Right.
Yeah. We also have to develop some sort of transportation solution for the issues at 36 King, if that's gonna be like our base in the future. So that is something that we'll need to work out, so that's either gonna be discussion with school departments to try to figure out busing solutions, or, we even talked about buying our own bus and trying to figure out, how we hire a driver to do that. So, but we would definitely have to come up with some solution if we're gonna use that as like a main hub.
What's the update on 36 King Street? We voted to spend the money as a town to renovate, correct?
Yep.
Do we have,
They are moving along.
okay.
Swing by the office, you can see all the floors, all the
Okay.
carpets, all that.
Oh, oh,
So there'll be a little update on that.
all right.
But March 2025 sounds
That's what they said.
really
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, they already knocked down walls in there.
cool. Sounds awfully optimistic, maybe, but all right.
That's
July, that's a long time.
yeah.
It helps that they're right next door doing the other work down the road, so they're.
Yeah, they're in
convenient to
town.
go over.
Right, absolutely.
One question
Yeah,
that
sure.
I know we talked a little bit about, but is this something that's potential for this year in light of the fact that, potential movement date is March is the MOA with the school department?
Yeah, we need to, I think that is something that most definitely, because not only is there an MOU, MOA, whatever you want to call them, I mean, it's used back and forth, but the original one that we had about us caring for the fields and being able to get space in the schools, that was the original one. And then we're also going to need one on how we use the building and who's gonna be in charge of what and who can use what spaces. I think that's gonna be a really important discussion, because right now, I don't know that we're really gonna be able to use the theater section much. So that's just, and I think one of my concerns was if we are going to rent the theater for like outdoor public things, that money should probably go back into the building, right? I think that makes a lot more sense since the town is the one that's putting all this money into
Yeah.
renovating. So, there's gonna be increased utility costs. There's gonna be things that still need to be fixed. So I think it would make sense that like the rentals, and I think that just needs to be really clear that, if that's what we're gonna do with that theater space, then that should go.
I think one of the biggest things about getting
Yeah.
that MOU back on board is if we could get that back with just the park commission and the school. We do have liaisons. It's something that Alicia and Kelly used to take care of,
Yeah.
Dr. Clunchy. But the other piece, we had talked about in one of our meetings the other day was it would be nice, like, let's just say that we do put forth a bunch of money for this field renovation plan, because that's really what the spirit of the MOU is. We're really looking for, 4 to 5 more classrooms is what Camp T needs to keep going, to the point, us putting forth that money in good faith and in that MOU also getting in return the classrooms and space to kind of make that whole thing happen. That would be a really good piece of the partnership, looking at, we get all these projects done, Camp T and the rec department get the space that we need inside the schools. Right now we're operating on the handshake agreement, which has been great.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to actually have that on paper so we don't have to sit down at the table and and, have Camp T ready to go, and then it's, all right, well, we'll have this, Steve has been great. It's, other little pieces of it that I think that we could work on.
Yeah, one of the things we did talk about was trying to get to Camp T at a level that is slightly below capacity, getting rid of the wait list.
Yeah.
So, and that means
We need-
adding.
It'd be minimum of 4 classrooms, that's what we
Yeah.
look at.
So that's the. And maybe, yeah, we get 5. With a little room for growth.
But there's also the, with the new building, then
So
what
that was gonna be
happens?
my other.
Right.
thing is-
Yeah. I didn't know what to put on here for that. So,
Yeah, I think both the commission and you guys, we all need to stay engaged with the Shaker Lane process.
Yep.
I know that's one of the, I think it's going to stay at the Shaker Lane properties, but who knows?
Right.
They're evaluating other sites.
Well, and that was one of the things we learned about in our meeting the other day was, we didn't even know Wickham was one of the potential sites. When we were discussing the baseball field.
So certainly, yeah, I mean, certainly that field plan needs to wait until there is a resolution on where we're gonna site that thing.
Yeah,
If it did end up at Wickham, that would.
well, the one thing that we discussed was budgeting for it. And putting it into like a second phase of the project, so at least we had it, because if we're just doing fencing and dugouts and things like that, regardless if we do that at the varsity field or if we did it at Wickham, it's still something we could do. The only problem with that plan is then we want to get the soccer field we were hoping for. That was the whole reasoning for that piece. Yeah, if we took varsity baseball field out of high school, we would gain the 2 soccer fields permanently, which would help with
Right.
that.
But yeah, so yeah, it's,
I know.
we just follow it and see where it goes. But stay engaged with that, because it also, we need to see where they end up with new building renovation, what they do with the old building, all those things will have impacts on where we go and what we end up doing with the space. It's something we need to stay engaged with.
And I just put this up here too. So with our capital CPC projects, we got the funds to resurface the basketball courts. We got the funds for the dock replacement almost. And I put in the italics, the new field replacement and pickleball court, because if this project is something that we're able to do, as Tim and Mike kind of put together, it would tick off both of those needs. So those would come off of the capital projects. So that leaves Fay Park renovation, dog park, and a community pool that would be on those capital funds. And there's some potential new projects as well. One of the things that's been on my list to do was to replace all the sound equipment that's at 300 King. It's all in various arrays of brokenness. I've tried to replace like the mallets for those marimbas and things for years, and it just doesn't work. So I would like to get rid of the musical components and replace them with new ones. So that's one of the things that's on there. Building a new playground outside of 36 King Street. That was something that we have all talked about, to be able to engage that tween teen population. I mean, maybe like it's a Ninja Warrior course or something like that. There's plenty of things like that you can build these days. Building basketball courts outside of 36 King Street, that's another thing that we've talked about. A floating boardwalk to actually complete the Long Lake Trail. Since it's something that we're not really going to be able to do by land. There is new, what do you want to call them? A new product out that allows us to actually have a floating boardwalk that would continue a trail path. And that's something we could work with conservation on doing. And then obviously developing that. It's still on there as well.
Where would the floating board be?
In Lake,
From.
Probably.
Crowdy.
Yep.
To connect the two, because right now.
Oh, all the
you
way
can't-
through the,
Yeah.
sort of
Through
the
the
bog,
marshy.
the bog area. Yep.
Yep.
Some
Yeah,
neat
We
spruce.
found a really awesome system, that was, at the NRPA conference when we were in Dallas.
Needham, they have.
And, I think it was Needham just put in just this, I forget how long it is, but it's massive.
Like across a reservoir.
Yeah,
It's
It's
amazing.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's something we've been looking to
Right,
for a
yeah.
solution for a very long time,
That's a
and
good.
that could be a
I'm
solution.
all for that.
So these are things that you guys have to like vote on tonight. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there since we're moving closer to having to get into the budget cycle, and these are
Yeah.
important things to
and I think
consider.
those are all components of the sort of strategic planning.
Yep.
I think there's nothing, certainly, I think all those are good. In my mind, good projects.
Yeah.
And then the others down at the capital side also.
Yeah.
I mean, the community pool is long. Long-term, but also highly
Definitely
desired.
request.
Yeah,
highly desired,
I'm all
yeah.
for it.
I think now that we can't fit a sports field, I think Cooper Farms, that's probably the best parcel, because if you talk about walkability.
Yeah.
You go to the beach and then walk to the pool because the trail is there. Shaker Lane, Camp T could walk either to the pool or the beach. You know, so that then and then we create a park on a completely different side of town where nothing exists.
Right.
So, yeah, the other piece, lost my train of thought. I'll come back to it.
How many community pools does Acton have? They have a few.
Unsure.
I don't know,
I know they have multiple like apartment pools, I think,
but is that
Yeah, I
on
don't
the
know what-
town?
I think they have like neighborhood pools.
I'm fine.
So,
I don't-
yeah, I like Nagog Woods has one,
Oh,
but I
yeah,
think that's like
there's like,
homeowners, it's not like a public pool.
Yeah, it's,
I'm thinking that there may be some, maybe it's like some associations.
the only ones that I really know that are like rec department specific is Benjamin Hill and the Shirley Rec Department.
Okay, yeah.
Lowell has a community pool. I think all the ones in Chelmsford are
Bird
private.
has, like,
Isn't McGraw one?
Yeah.
Isn't that both?
No, that's
Country
private.
Club is-
Country Club is private.
Yeah.
They've reached out to us years ago and asked us if we would run it for them, but they are a private facility.
Okay, for some reason I thought that was a bit now.
It's only $13 if you want to go there.
Yeah, no, it's.
What's that?
Benjamin Hill's cheaper than that. So.
that's an amazing thing, it's really nice.
Good things.
Yeah, good.
No.
So I'd like, yeah, I don't wanna keep us here all night
Right.
going through everything,
Yeah.
but those were just some basics that, you know, we need to start those discussions, so I want to get those out there. Oh boy, discussion on stipend policy. I do have it printed out for everybody. I hope that you all have had a chance to review it.
I have one thing that
Yeah.
I didn't see on here.
Okay,
Maybe it can be factored in somewhere else, but, like someone that, moves up in an acting title, if someone leaves. Could that be considered a stipend or would that be
No,
like
they would
an
get-
acting pay for like being the
oh,
assistant
an
director?
interim, I got you, like if they were an interim. I can ask HR, but I think that is something a bit different.
There is something, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a
Specifics.
stipend, though.
No, it's a,
It's like they would put you on
An
at
out
a
of pay
rate,
title.
like, let's say Tim took
Or out.
over for me,
Yeah.
right? I think they would, yes, make him interim. And then he would get paid like the rate that I get paid. And
That
then,
would be the only situation, or yeah, it's moved in that, something like that, but.
but in a situation like, I'm thinking Kels, right? So Kelsey went from an office coordinator to a program coordinator. That was simply her, she just changed jobs.
We hired her.
We hired her as
Hmm.
program coordinator.
With the exception of our two position, I don't think that would ever play. a
Right.
part, because
Yeah,
Everything else is seasonal. Now, that's a horse of a different color. That's something we have to tackle.
I know. Let's not go there.
We'll talk about that, but that is one thing that we have to look at is some of our seasonal staff works
More than seasonal.
longer than that. And
Yeah.
we really need to address that this fiscal year.
Well. Yeah,
Okay, so,
Oh.
right, so you've got, yeah, year-round, you've got some year-round positions.
ish.
And that's why I was saying we gotta write some of the job descriptions over
Yeah.
right now to address those things coming up.
Cause that may change them from Schedule C to Schedule A.
Right, okay.
Changes a lot of things.
Yep.
So. well. Let's stay here right now.
We can say here, I was just,
The only, thank you.
Question I had is on page 2, additional duties for a fixed period of time. So in terms of, it says, if the vacant position is not filled, then the duties are permanently assigned to the employee with the stipend salary adjustment. Classification should be considered to replace the stipend, and I know Sports Council is right below it. I didn't know if there's some type of time period, like should you just be getting that rolled into your pay, or is it more complicated because it's reclassification and it's HR and we just,
Yeah,
okay,
so at the moment, that is a role that he's taken on.
Right.
That is not in his job description. So that is something that we could look at adding that in. And that amount, you would have to figure out how, that's the piece where I don't know how that works, is
Yeah.
that would he be given a comparable amount for that, or would he not? You know what I mean? Like, would
yeah,
they?
at the end of the day, it's arbitrary to the 3 people who are grading it.
right. I think it
Right.
just said because for a fixed period of time that that was what threw me off, just because it's like,
But that says it's like more for that vacant position, like.
That would be
Peter
more
was
so
talking
like,
about.
I think a better example is when I took over the orchard for the whole summer.
okay.
That is good, yeah.
I just want to make sure that it doesn't come back and so.
Yeah, I guess, and maybe it's the page change or the way it looks like the Sports Council falls under that, I don't like it does.
No, it doesn't, it's just under that.
I think that's maybe.
It's only because I think it's because the bullet point carried over.
Right, so it looks, that shouldn't be a bulleted thing.
Where would you like it to be? I would move it wherever you would like it to be.
Out of the margin and highlight it like conditions.
Yeah, I think temporary is just it's its own thing, similar to the professional development. Rather than, I think it's just formatting,
Okay, yeah,
not a location or structure.
do you want me to put it up with the other, well, the reason it was different was that there were types of stipends. So there was the.
No, I think it's like.
Professional
Maybe just put it under types of stipends and just put it as the first one. Sports council stipend and then professional development.
Can do that.
I mean, because ultimately that could be something that, in the future, maybe the rec manager took over and then that.
Right.
Part of that job.
Right?
Could be something.
I mean-
As we grow and we take on.
Yeah.
Different things, maybe that's something that comes out of my, if we do get a pool, obviously being the aquatics person. That would be something that, would be different.
Okay, so I'll move that. Anything else?
I mean, everything looked like it made sense.
Kind of real hard.
Doing a good job.
Eyes over there.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just reading under the purpose section.
And all of that, like, if there's stuff in there you don't like, then we'll take it out.
Um, I mean, is like for the. Yeah, for the first aid stuff, the instruction facilitator. In-service facilitator, is that within the normal workload?
No.
So that,
And it's something we've been talking about, is that something that if we want to continue doing that, do we want to try to get a contractor to come in? Don't know, in my stance on that.
Saves us a large.
yeah, no,
And it also, we train people how we want them to be trained.
right,
Yes.
but I'm reading this, the stipend is a payment in addition to but which is part of the normal workload. I think that doesn't hold true for all the things that we did.
That's fair, yeah.
Well, the Red Cross thing, if we wanted to just say, hey, everybody's got to do their own thing for $3, we could.
No, I'm
Rather than,
I'm not-
misunderstood what you're saying.
So I understand your rationale for doing the training the way it's done. I'm saying it really doesn't fall in the normal workload. It is an additional piece,
Right.
and that's
That's
so
what makes it a stipend.
that's why we're paying it separate.
Correct, yes.
And so it doesn't, this purpose description doesn't really match up with what we're trying to do.
Really?
So it's another type of stipend, is what you're saying. As opposed to professional.
Name opposed ongoing appointment or job description. But it's part of the normal workload.
It's more like part of the department's normal workload, right? It's stuff that's done.
So it's like, so maybe it can be written more clearly, but it's like, it's not, it says which is not a part of the employee's ongoing appointment. But so maybe that's like job description instead of appointment, but is part of the normal workload. I don't know, is that clear enough more?
It's more like it's necessary work to be done.
No, because I think the next line kind of goes it out, paid to the employee for the effort and responsibility related to a special assignment.
And if the special assignment ends, the salary will.
Right, it's the, within the assigned, the normal workload within the assigned percentage of full time is the part that I think is not descriptive of what we are doing, at least with the in-service facilitator.
Do you want me to cut that out?
So you're putting a period after the word appointment and striking the rest of it? Of that sentence, but which over a time
Yeah.
period.
Would you, in the last sentence, if the special assignment ends, the salary would revert to the salary of the ongoing employment? Should, kind of sounds like, yeah, maybe not.
Can do that.
Shall with our.
It just should be-
Say,
At that point, you
Maybe
just say if
so.
special assignment ends, the stipend shall be terminated or
Yeah,
stipend shall cease.
that makes more sense.
Yeah, because it's specific to the stipend.
So if the special assignment ends, the stipend shall cease.
And you got the first line ends after ongoing appointment period.
Yep. And I got rid of, so
Next
it's
sentence, a stipend.
a stipend is used.
Yep.
Yep. Got it. Don't have to scratch your wood because it's gone.
It's okay. It's clean.
No sugar
Cleaned up.
needed. Yes.
Right.
So do we need to vote to approve this with the changes?
Amendments, yes.
I make a motion to approve the Littleton Parks and Recreation full-time employee stipend policy with the amendments as discussed.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
I
Aye. No, opposed.
All right, so then we have the fiscal year 25 stipends. So based off of this document, Tim would still be running the sports council. That was 7,000. So we would award him that this next year to continue that. John and Rachel are both going to be doing Red Cross first aid. Yes.
Correct. They
Um,
already are, both
they-
certified.
Yeah. So,
Rachel will be certified as a lifeguard instructor when we teach the course in September.
and then, the three of them all have their CPRP, so they obtained it last year-ish. But this year
John
is
and I
the,
are on, I think I'm on year, this is my fourth year, he's on his third.
we
Just
just,
started, yeah.
but when we did the original vote, it was, yeah. So that, you guys would have to vote that, so I can turn that into HR.
I'll make a motion to offer the 2025 stipends to the following categories: NRPA, Red Cross, Sport Council Coordination.
second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Project updates, bathhouse, you want to talk about it all?
Yeah, so we put a new roof on the bathhouse, all the holes are fixed,
Kinda.
everything is ready to go. I did make the decision to, rather than redeck the whole thing, patch it, based off of our new Board of Health. I did have a conversation with him and it seems like it might have direction to possibly able to get a building there if we wanted to. So have more conversation about that down the road, but this is just to save some money. We cut a couple holes where we needed to patch some stuff and put some new decking down there, but ultimately we put down, tar paper and shingles and we're good for the life of what we expect to have that building for.
Hopefully it's not that long.
good job.
So yes. Other than that, the other thing that was not included in here was tight tank alarm was fixed. We've been having issues with that since last October, so that was put in. And that was everything.
So is there a, that's just when it's high level or?
Yeah, so there's two floats that when it gets to a certain point, they have this awful alarm. We get calls from the neighbors
In the
and the
winter.
police, and especially in the winter when we get heavy rainfall.
Yep.
That comes through the back of the building and fills up the floor drains and fills up the tight tank. So
Can plug floor drains in the winter or something?
it really doesn't help.
Okay.
Mhm.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water that infiltrates that building.
Yeah, I was thinking if it doesn't go into the tight tank, then we don't have to pump it. If it's just infiltrating and there's
Yes.
nobody in there, it goes out the other side or no,
Can we
Not so much.
We put duct tape on them in the past. It
Okay.
eventually just gets,
gets through.
it's concrete, it gets cold and pops off. Oh, that was my other piece for goals that I wanted to talk about, was we should have in our goals was the right of first refusal, because we have the house behind them. We have both of those houses. Long way and then a couple other properties that might be.
I think that was on there for last year.
Yeah, it was on it. That was the one thing that I had noticed that wasn't on there.
Thank you. That house on
Right.
properties, so like there's a property directly behind the beach that's a rental.
Yep.
That has gone up for sale a few times. There's also the house next to that house, that
One
has
behind the program.
been, yeah.
But
been
what
for
would
sale.
be the mechanism by which, we don't have any.
Is there legal right to write
Yeah,
a first refusal? It's not like under easement or
It,
anything.
it would allow us to be able to purchase the property, like they'd have to ask first, like, do you guys want to buy?
Right, but there's no. Like that, you can do that with chapter 60 property.
Chapter
because they get
61, yeah.
61, they
Yeah.
get a tax break. There's
Yeah.
nothing. I don't know what mechanism we would use to require them to do that.
I can look into that for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't, because we don't have any. We don't have any interest in that property other than it's I mean, we have an interest, but we don't have any
Legal interest.
legal interest in those properties
I got
that
you.
would give us that authority. I mean, you could
The
ask,
only thing I can think of is, we don't have any other way to get a septic.
Yeah,
That would give us a path forward, because we know the sewer's not.
yeah, but that doesn't,
it's not illegal.
there's no, right.
Yeah.
We could. If there was an interest from this, the town more broadly, you could potentially look at another domain taking. But I can't imagine any way that we, other than just making an offer on the property, like, there's nothing that would compel a property owner to sell to us that I can think of. What's up?
Can't hurt fast.
No, I mean, you can try, but I'm just saying that I don't, like, right of first refusal is you're compelled because of some other thing
Right.
to sell to the town if we want it. I don't. Yeah, I mean, we can certainly ask the property owner, like, if you want to sell, you would
Come
buy
to
it.
us first.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
You don't need an agent, we will do it, don't worry about it, we can jump through that very quickly if that's the path we want to go down,
Yeah.
but. That's similar to what they did next to Shattuck Street.
Right. yeah.
But I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any mechanism unless they're getting a tax break or something that we would be able to compel that.
So how did they do that with that property then?
That they did by.
But you talk about the house next to it, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was evident to me.
I don't know why I thought they had it by the first piece, but anyway, okay. All right, so I'll try to go through this relatively quickly. So this was just kind of an updated design for the first floor. I brought some of the stuff in if you really want to take a look at it. There's a more brownish color for the floor, which would be that. The offices will be that gray. So those are there, if you want to check them out. I think that's kind of a big piece for that floor. That dark brown, or sorry, dark navy color would be this. So in the foyer, well, I can't say that word tonight. Oh, yeah, whatever. They would put carpeting in, also in the basement, they would have some carpeting. And you can feel it, it's meant to like clean shoes, it's not like, let's kumbaya, sit around and kind of, it's not pleasant for that, no. Yeah, what questions you got?
Carpeted now, or that's the entry, no, is that the entry?
No, so here, here. So this is the entryway, so right here, and that would all be carpeted. So that area where they have like the reception in that window, that's where that is.
Okay,
So all of that, yes, will have that carpet in it.
it's really more doormat than carpet.
You got it,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yes. permanent doormat.
Right, it is,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And then all the other flooring, like I said, is gonna be that. We're going with Tim's colors. So we have that, the Hail Navy, the Owl Gray, and the Super White. And on that first floor, the accent color will be Saratoga Springs. So those are gonna be like the main colors for all of the office area.
That's what we painted everything in our old offices.
I've got a lot of owl gray in my house.
And then,
All right.
good color.
That's a good color. So yeah, so that's gonna be like office first floor. Any questions about this thus far?
So your offices will be on the first floor.
Yeah, so
And school will be
the
upstairs.
row,
So we'll be here.
That's kind of
This is
blocked
the
where the words are.
Administrative office when you walk in,
Okay,
and then we'll be back here. So Alicia, myself, Kaz, Rachel, Kelso, and conference room.
okay.
Just kind of as somebody needs some quiet time room, and then another conference room.
Yeah.
Bathrooms, auditorium, another conference room right here.
And is that the open areas remaining open or what's the?
The middle,
It is.
yeah, it's gonna be, so some of the fabrics you see there are gonna be the chairs that are represented in that area.
I don't know that this is true,
What do you mean?
these two. I don't know if that's true.
I thought we picked them for all the
That's
chairs.
for basement.
Just basement.
I think so, yeah.
And what's the vision for that space besides open?
Open. So if people need to sit there to be able to like fill out forms or, you know, they just wanna hang out and have a conversation, it allows you to do that. All the furniture will be movable, so let's say that we do have a group that's there and they need to go on a field trip, they could pull all the kids up into that area. So there's, you know, it's meant to be one of those spaces where you can kind of transform it into whatever you need. But yeah, there was that original many iterations ago where there was like a glass like meeting room and that's gone.
Okay.
Will not be out.
And then is your office space access controlled?
Ish. So, there will be a fob on the outside of the building. Yeah, well, yes.
You won't be able to get into the building unless we budget it.
Exactly. So that in that vestibule, that's the word I was looking for. Hey-o. In that vestibule area, you can check in with the person at that reception desk. Let's say that you're there to see one of us, or you're gonna go up to the school department, then there will be a buzzer that will unlock the door to let you in.
Essentially, we're gonna maintain the same level of security that the school has.
But the schools will have their door locked as well. So the stairs going up to their section will be locked up.
Just like if you walk up to one of the schools during the day, you can't hold the doors open.
Right. No, so one of the things that had been talked about was, meeting spaces, comments, like the basement rooms in the library can be.
Right.
Everything else can be locked out and you can still get to a meeting room. After hours, that's not what's being.
I think we could lock because there's a way, there are these two doors, like right here. Does that show up my little cursor? It does
Sort of,
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And here. So yes, we would be able to lock that and close the whole office area off. So people could access, like, let's say there's programs after, they could have that, they could go, you know, use that one, have the bathrooms. This was another program area or, you know, the theater as well.
And did you say the town is planning on renting out the theater for theater activities?
None of that has really been discussed.
Okay.
But when we were sort of talking about, you know, can we affix like a basketball hoop? Or can we put, you know, cages over the lights so that the kids could play? It was sort of a, no, we're gonna keep this as like a theater. Yeah.
And I don't know, are there seats in there already or?
There are not.
So it's
empty.
just just empty floor.
empty floor. Yep,
Yes,
With the stage.
yep,
and all of the seating in the conference rooms and the tables are all modular. So if you've been to the fire station, the ones that kind of fold up and nest together.
Okay.
That's the similar kind of stuff.
Is there anything in the budget for putting seating into the auditorium?
I don't know the answer to that.
Even, I mean, even like stackable chairs.
Like folding chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Like
idea.
what's in.
Like, are they gonna buy 250 folding chairs that we could? I don't have any, I don't
Yeah.
believe that we've discussed that.
Okay,
There's plenty of ample storage behind the stage to put said
Right.
cart of folding chairs, but.
right. I mean, there were, when it was Indian Hill, there certainly were.
Right,
right.
Were stackable chairs that came out for events, but.
Right, because if you wanted to do like a movie and a pizza party in there, you could theoretically line two or a spaghetti dinner.
Right.
Line up tables and chairs in there or something like, yes.
So, okay.
So really, the only thing that we've ever been making decisions on is this first floor and the basement.
We can ask at our weekly meeting
Yeah.
if that's something that there's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
that's a good idea to, I mean,
Yeah,
having the chairs gives you other options.
Right. Yep.
that may be an additional follow-on expenditure.
Is there a PMBC meeting on Wednesday? I've lost,
I don't know.
missed the last one.
let me check this out.
So this is
Nancy,
the
like,
basement.
Yep.
So this would be the area that they would look at for, the club. So the design that they have on the floor, that's the linoleum stuff that we have here. So those colors would be, done in those specific materials. Trying to think.
Okay, stripey sort of.
Yeah, just to add like those
Yeah.
pops of colors.
Cool.
They do have some built-in furniture, which is gonna be really neat. So those are the fabrics that they've chosen. They're completely waterproof. We asked them to be extremely resistant because all the chairs we have upstairs, the kids have like picked everything off of it. So she actually sat there, and was like trying to feel it off. Yeah, so these are the fabrics that they chose for those spaces. Accent color, and then this is the only piece of like nice carpet that's gonna be in the building. And that is gonna actually go in the gaming area, which is that dark area right here. And this stuff is really cool. It's like waterproof. You could get stains on it and just like get a steam vac and clean it and it'll be exactly the same. So this stuff is really amazing. So yeah, that's kind of the basis of the design that they have for that. And then this was the outer choice. I mean, they gave us a whole bunch of different choices, but this is the one that everybody really liked. And then this will be that pale navy and the owl gray
yes.
on the outside,
7
yeah,
o'clock.
Wow.
right?
Theater, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock Wednesday.
So that's nice too. It looks like the basement, there are, the way the land goes, there are some windows above ground, so there's some
Yes.
natural light that can come in. That's
Yes, and then even here, these two, they're actually gonna punch through the wall and put internal windows, so
Okay.
more light will come in.
good. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty, so we'll see how that changes. It is pretty dark in here right now, but, the whole idea was kind of to light that. Okay, that's it. Questions, comments, concerns?
Shaping up?
Yeah, we're getting there.
And you
Um,
said, what was the date for this?
They theoretically are saying March 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which you're right, and we were talking about, it's been so long that my memory
I know.
waned, which is why we were talking about the bus needs to be figured out for the kids, for the
Yeah.
club.
Yeah, I mean, for the time being, as long as, you know, there's no urgency to move out of that building, I don't see any reason to like stress moving the programs because, you know, the club, the kids can walk there, right? And that is such a bonus for, the middle school kids and parents. So as long as we can continue to do that, I think, that we'll maintain doing that, but we do need to come up with some sort of solution on how.
Are those Russell Street kids or middle school or both?
Both things. Yeah, so the Russell Street kids, we have staff that will walk over and meet them and they walk over with them, but the middle school kids can walk over.
There won't be open hours for the old building then, once you're all in here, will there, or will it? I mean, will it just be for programs, like program comes in, doors are open?
I mean, we haven't really discussed that, but I would guess it would just be for programs, right?
I mean, we have it. There's other space that we could theoretically utilize for that stuff. As rapidly as our preschool program has grown, I think
Yes.
that's probably the place that's gonna live for a little while.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Until we can maybe come up with a better solution.
I'm just thinking, will you then need like someone at the desk to be there,
Yeah,
just another staff person?
I don't know, we have to,
There's a lot that
think about
goes
those
into
things.
figuring all that out.
Right, it's that you're gonna, I think you'll end up staffing the club and the preschool program.
Yeah, not to make everybody disjunct, but maybe it's something where people have different hours at different places depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
Kelsey oversees the staff, so maybe we do keep Alicia's corner office as an office, and that's somewhere where, there's all of those things we need to discuss. And, obviously the meeting space then becomes a little more open, where to the point of this building, there could be space in there that's available for meetings to be had. And then we gotta figure out, what do we do upstairs?
Yeah,
And there's, we'll have to discuss that with the town. In terms of what they want to do. Yeah, I certainly am in favor of maintaining to the degree that you can, and it's not an overburden of staffing to maintain activities in there. 'Cause
Right.
Empty buildings are a bad thing.
right,
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
especially since we renovated those multi-purpose spaces upstairs, that if it's truly that the auditorium is gonna remain an auditorium, that gives us an exercise class space to utilize in the winter time. It gives us the ability to have the younger kids on February vacation out of that space and the older kids out of the new space. Not having to utilize, school space in those particular. So there's a lot that can be done that has not been thought of yet outside of, sometimes we have these fun brainstorming exercises that Kaz really loves.
he loves them.
But yeah, so I think let's keep that discussion going, but I think, I certainly think we should plan to use that space for as long as.
I mean, we've already talked.
In any conversations that we've had, with like town administrator, school department, I mean, I've been really clear that it doesn't make sense for us to have to move those programs right now. Especially, transportation is so expensive, it really is. And we don't want to, have to increase the program costs just to, there's gotta be a solution that we can come up with that makes a lot more sense to be able to keep those prices down, right? So until we can figure that out,
Yeah. I mean, the middle school kids already go to the high school.
what do you mean?
The bus goes to the high school.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that.
They pick up in the middle school and then they go to high school, pick up the high schoolers.
Yeah.
That's why at ski club, we're on that really dicey line, because we have to beat everybody there,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
we're,
Okay.
So for the middle school side, there's at least it'd be fairly straightforward to have them go over to the high school and get
And at
off.
that point, if we offload the middle schoolers, maybe until we figure out if the younger kids just stay at the Shattuck Street site, that could be
Yeah.
a viable option as well.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing we've kicked around is, once the coordinators are out of that glass office, we turn that into an art space because there's sinks and everything in there. That could be a really cool place to do all of our printing and all of our stuff.
Third Thursday?
Yes, we got third Thursday coming up next week. I will get all the information on food truck and music It'll be up on the Facebook post. And yeah, Kaz and I are gonna start putting out all of the special events to come. Gonna try to get a couple of food trucks out to the beach in August. Have a couple of nights, do some food trucks, and then next meeting that we have, we're gonna request liquor permits, beer permits for Oktoberfest and for the wiffle ball tournament.
Finance report, it was end of fiscal year, so July is notorious, like, it's coming in August. So the next, park commission meeting, I'll have a full rundown for the year. And we'll go through that in depth if you would like. No new business, unless there's new business. Okay. Old business, there you go, your EV charging station is fully installed at 300 King Street. I think they still have yet to, they do actually have to restripe the parking lot because the lots have kind of changed a little bit. So I did work with them. We are reducing the size. The parking spots themselves were actually massively huge. Way bigger than they need to be. So we are going to do a smaller parking spot, and that way we were able to keep all 8 that were there. If we kept them the same size, then we would have lost one. So that is one change that kind of came at last minute. We didn't know that was going to happen. So yeah, they'll be restriping them, that piece of it later on, but everything else is already in there, fully operational.
People using it?
I don't know. I have not seen that thus far. It's literally like last Thursday was when it was completed. So, yeah. Or not, it couldn't be last Thursday because that was the 4th of July. So Wednesday. Okay. August meeting.
It is new business.
Oh.
The only one thing that we learned last week was that July 1st was effective date for the highway change.
Oh, yeah.
So there is some impacts. Highway is only working a 4-day work week. So we're not mowing on Fridays. We're not grooming the beach on Fridays currently. It's kind of a surprise to us.
Yeah.
Not a surprise that they were going to 4-day work weeks. The assumption was that it was going to be kind of a staggered thing, but that's how it is. So potentially we could see some impacts. I did call Stephen Yonley and just kind of expressed some concerns last week and also agreed that we'll see how it goes. So more to come on that. One of the, there's a couple issues with, we're only grooming the beach 2 days a week now. One of those days happened to be, since they pushed back to Thursday's yoga day. So I haven't had a Thursday where we had conflict yet. So there may be things to come. The other thing is, right now we're out of season for the youth sports groups, but when we're in season, the fields aren't going to be prepped like normal on Fridays for Saturday play. They'll be prepped on Thursday. So they're not necessarily going to be, like I said, Steven and I wait and see what happens, but it is a trial run. It's not set in stone yet, but it was voted in the last union contract.
And it is a, I don't want to call it a trial, but if they do ultimately decide like this is not for them, they can just cancel it and go back to a 5-day.
So they're doing 4 10s.
Weekends. Yep. So if they work on Friday, Saturday or Sunday, then that's considered.
So the one thing, if you do the math, yes, they're working the same amount of hours, but in the grand scheme of things, when the sports organizations are on the field at 3 o'clock, Ben can no longer mow, which would normally be done by 3 o'clock over the course of 5 days. So now we're not really going to get the same amount of time that we did in the past.
So he was mowing full time or,
Well, all of the sports fields prep that happened up until 2:30, which is when they got pretty much ended their day now. Now they're condensing that down to 4 days. They're staying longer, but after 3 o'clock, they can't get on the fields because
no, right, but his full activity was,
mowing, painting, all that.
all that stuff, okay.
So just something to be as we move into, especially the fall sports season. Not sure what that impact's gonna look like.
Okay,
August.
so we already know that week of the second week is like, no one, literally no one is here. So we could try to go the third Tuesday, which is the 20th. Or actually, if we're still trying to get Scott here, then that would be a Monday still, so 19th, or 21st.
It's, Scott said that the Monday's just in the summertime, and then we
Just in
go
the
back to
summertime.
Tuesdays, okay. I'm like the opposite, I think Mondays are a little harder. for me.
Okay, so I mean, we could always do Wednesday, that's, yeah,
I think I could do any day that week as long as I'd be remote, but
okay.
18 works for me.
Sorry,
18 works for me. 19?
19th,
Oh,
18's
Monday, yeah,
oh, wait, oh, we're on,
August.
oh, geez, I was looking at September, sorry.
I mean, to be fair, September 10th is.
That was the,
August.
if not August, then that's our next one in September 10th.
So we're looking at the 21st?
19th or 21st.
Oh, yeah, any of those, I mean, 20th or 21st or better.
What I would say, let's plan for that week and confirm with Kevin and Scott.
So I'm gonna try to pitch the 21st.
Sure.
And, okay, so I'll do a doodle. Okey dokey, smokies,
Yeah, better.
okay.
Yep.
Adorable camp tea photos. So the fire department, this was really awesome, the fire department came out and they were letting the kids use the hose. So they had a traffic cone that they were trying to like keep in the stream. But they also built a house with like fire in the windows. So when they hit it with the hose, it would like knock the fire back. It was adorable. So there's video for that on Facebook page. But yeah, it's been a really, really great summer so far.
Thanks.
nice. Where is that one in the corner? Beacon with the antlers. Where are they?
Canopy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Last week.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
I wouldn't be a chaperone.
Anybody? Anybody?
Okay.
Last motion?
How old are you? Seen volunteer hours?
What's that?
Oh.
Couple more years. Couple more years.
Get that in writing.
Count the days.
Drive the school bus.
Yes.
There you go.
That's true. Driving the school bus, I'm driving. All right.
Okay,
Motion, everybody?
I'll make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
I,
We're adjourned. Thank you
all
very much.
right, thank you.
Oh,
all right.
this is a